How did you get interested in math?
Well, I got interested in math in high school. So first I went to this high school, which was quite good school, Stuyvesant High School in New York. And it was during a course in plane geometry. So we had a very good teacher. His name was Mr. Schwartz. And what I really liked about geometry is that it was very deep. The previous course was algebra, and we manipulated x squared, and solved quadratic equations. It seemed sort of trivial and not very interesting. But here, we proved what seemed deep theorems, starting with axioms. And this Mr. Schwartz, he had this just fantastically high regard for mathematics. One day he said, the most wonderful part of mathematics is, and he said, you are too young to know about this. It's the theory of elliptic functions. Of course, I didn't know anything about elliptic functions. Then a few days later, he came and he brought a book, and he said, this is a book about elliptic functions. And I looked into it. There were all these mysterious symbols, magical. And it turned out, I think later one of them was the pay function. The other one were these big S's, these integral signs. And this must be something really wonderful, I thought, and deep. That was one thing. And another thing was, he told us about a theorem of Steiner, which was not part of the curriculum. And it had been proved not by the Greeks, but by Steiner in whenever it was in the 18th century. And it was the theorem that if you had a triangle and two of its angle bisectors were equal in length, then the triangle was isosceles. And he gave us a thing to read. I read it. It was a very, very ingenious proof, which required a construction, You can't just look at this triangle with the angle bisectors, but you've got to make a further construction, and so I felt very challenged by that, and I said to myself, I'm going to try to find another proof of this theorem. Little did I know, so I struggled for many weeks. Finally, I did find a proof, but I must say the proof was very inelegant, not like Steiner, and it was very complicated. It sort of instilled in me the confidence that I could do some mathematics. I think the other very important thing for me was that there was a math club at Stuyvesant and a math team where we competed. And the captain of the math team was D.J. Newman. At the time I joined, and he was quite a mathematician. Anyway, as a student then, he was extremely impressive because he seemed to know everything, and everything was very easy for him. To feel that you're really part of that group that existed then, there were two things, roughly, but my memory is maybe vague, but there were two things you had to do. One was you had to learn some advanced mathematics on your own. And one of the things people did is they read Titchmarsh, Theory of Functions.
In high school?
Yeah, of course. There was much of Titchmarsh that I didn't understand, but I was exposed to Titchmarsh. And from then on, I knew that that's the kind of mathematics I liked. And then there was another thing. The other thing is there was Barnes & Noble's in those days was a textbook store, a unique textbook store, not far from Stuyvesant High School, I think on 16th Street and between 6th and 7th Avenue.
Oh my God, it's still there, I think.
And the idea was that you had to steal a math book from Barnes & Noble.
Yeah.
That is something I did, as it turns out. It wasn't a very valuable book. But those are some of my earliest memories of getting interested in mathematics.